Hello, everybody, and welcome to Author Talk with me, Gavin. And today I'm here with Lynn Buchanan, the author of The Dollmakers.
Hi.
I wanted to start off with my analysis of your main character, Shean. So she is typically depicted as an unlikable main character, but I disagree with that because I feel that she has reasons behind her actions, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on the development of her character.
Yeah, so with Shean, I really wanted to write about someone who is flawed, like deeply flawed. I think we can both agree Shean is very flawed.
Yeah.
And because of those flaws, she can come off as unlikable. But I really wanted to write about someone who has good intentions, but is going about those intentions in all the wrong ways. In part because I like to depict characters that kind of redeem themselves, because I think that's something we all go through in our lives. A lot of us have like beliefs we hold or things we really want that we're willing to do kind of crazy things for at times. And sometimes we have to learn that we're going about things in the wrong way. And that doesn't mean we're awful people. It doesn't mean we're irredeemable. It just means we need to learn and grow. And that's what I wanted to do with Shion. So that's part of the reason I made her as borderline crazy as she is at the beginning of the book. She has good intentions. She wants to help people, but she has convinced herself that she knows how to do that and hasn't allowed herself to think about other ways to accomplish what she wants.
All right. And what is the best writing advice you have received as an author? And what information do you wish you knew before you started writing?
I think the best advice I ever received was to learn how to revise. That was something I struggled with at the beginning of my writing career. I would just write books, first drafts, not even touch them, and try to send them out to like agents and things like that, which is awful in hindsight. I'm like, oh no, all those awful books that I sent out into the world.
Ah,
But I just didn't have the patience, and I really wish I had taught myself how to revise sooner, because I think my writing would have gotten a lot better, a lot faster if I had. And that's kind of ties into the answer to your second question. I wish I had realized how important revision is early on. And it's a hard thing to learn, but it's worth learning.
yeah, for me, I feel like once it's written, when you go back to it, it's like I feel kind of bored revising
Mhm.
what I've written. But I mean, it's something we all have to get over as writers.
Yeah, and that was definitely something I struggled with. Once I finished something, I was like, I've lost all interest. I don't want to do anything else on it. But led to a lot of not polished books. Let's be nice and call them that instead of just awful. But
All right. And what was the deciding factor for another artist to illustrate your novel? And did you have a specific reason for choosing the artist you chose?
yeah, so I really wanted with the Dollmakers, I knew going in that I wanted several illustrations of like locations in the book. So when I was looking for artists, I tried to find an artist who was really good at drawing like cities and forests and things like that. I also wanted a traditional artist, someone who worked like with in a traditional medium. That's like Connor Nolan, who I went with. He works in pencil and pen usually, so I wanted that look. And he's also really good at cities and landscapes. So I was like, Connor, perfect. And he was fantastic to work with.
All right. All right. This question is about Brandon Sanderson's class. So you have been a student of Brandon Sanderson. What is the most important takeaway that you have learned from his teachings?
I like to say Brandon taught me everything I know about world building because that's true. That's that's the biggest thing I took away from him. He's the world building king. We all kind of know that. And I didn't really know how to world build before I started taking his classes and got to know him a bit.
All right. And then on a fun note, tell me about how you started the Lynn takes random things from her bookshelf and shows them off to people who would rather not see them.
Hello, and welcome to part one of Lynn takes random things from her bookshelf and shows them off to people who rather not see them. That was just an idea I had. I've posted like those videos on TikTok. Have I posted some on Instagram too? Probably. Yeah,
I
I have.
think some of them, yeah.
Yeah. Mostly because I just wanted to figure out like some kind of content to have that I could put out. And I was drawing a blank, so I just turned to my bookshelf and was like, "Oh, that's random crap I have on here. Let's just make videos about those." I haven't made very many of them in a while. I haven't made them in a while. Just in I just don't have like time or energy right now to do it, but they were fun, so I should go back and do some more.
Yeah, and that leads me to will you go and do more?
Maybe. I also feel like I've gone through, sorry, I'm looking at my bookshelves as I'm talking. I'm like, I feel like I've gone through most of the interesting things on there already. I have, so maybe I need to buy more stuff, yeah, to have cooler things on my bookshelf so I can do more videos.
All right. And then are you able to say anything about things that you are working on now or your plans for the future?
Yeah, I mean, I've written several more books set in the same world as the Dollmakers.
Mhm.
They're all standalone, set in different countries within like the same world, so not necessarily direct sequels to Dollmakers. And what else have I been working on? I also like to write Scottish fairy tale retellings. So I've been doing a few of those lately. And it's really, I'm just waiting for publishing to catch up with me, honestly, as I churn out more books than they can uh, read at this point.
All right. And what song would you use to describe the Dollmakers?
Song.
If you could pick a song.
Mm. That's a hard one. I mean, I can tell you the music I listened to when I was writing The Dollmakers.
Sure.
I listened to the soundtrack for Ghibli's Mononoke, Princess Mononoke, pretty much on repeat while I was writing. In terms of like an actual song, hmm, there's this is gonna make me sound so dumb because I can't remember what it's called, but there's a Taylor Swift song that reminds me of Shean actually.
'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Oh, look what you made me do.
Um, I can't remember what it is.
I
Some
feel
Taylor
like,
Swift song, I guess.
yeah, I
I
feel
know it.
like
I know
a
it was
lot
her.
of her earlier songs really remind me of Shean.
Oh yeah. So there we go. Some vague Taylor Swift song that I can't remember the name of.
Yeah. Okay. So your real name is Rachel Lynn Buchanan. Is there a
Hmm.
reason why you chose to go by just Lynn Buchanan?
I made that decision when I was back in high school, so it's a little fuzzy, to be honest. Thinking back, I'm like, why did I decide this? But honestly, I like my middle name, and part of me wanted to go by my middle name at one point, but my parents wouldn't let me. So I was like, fine, I will just use it as my pen name.
All right. And if you weren't an author, what would you be doing?
Um, well, I'm actually a classically trained oboist,
Oh,
and
yes.
I started college as a music major. So I think if I hadn't decided to go down the writing path, I probably would have gone through being a classical musician. It's probably what would have happened.
That would have been really cool. All right. And then this question is a little silly, but there are words such as demure and nonchalant in your book. Were you using these words to appeal to younger audiences who like the brain rot terms?
That's just kind of my vocabulary. I wasn't really thinking about it consciously. I just like those words.
All right. And then were any events in the book inspired by something that happened in real life?
Like any of the characters
Yeah.
or yeah. Um, yes, I do think both Shion and Akisa are yeah, the way I developed them, they both came from experiences I've had in my life at extremes, you know, like I am not Shion nor am I Akisa, but I definitely have had that ambition and drive that can blind me at times, for what I want, and thinking about like, okay, don't go too crazy, don't blow over people as you're trying to get what you want. And then with Akisa, I've also had experiences that have knocked me flat and made it hard for me to to keep going. Just so yeah, both of them definitely are informed by things that have happened in my life, even if it's not like a one-to-one sort of comparison.
Okay. And you have sent me the pieces of artwork that inspired the doll makers.
Mm.
And I was wondering how you took those pieces and developed a story from it.
Well, it was pretty simple actually. I just ran across those two pieces of art online one day randomly, and I really liked their illustrations of women making kind of these creepy dolls or creatures. And I just was like, well, I want to write a book about women who make creepy dolls that come to life. And then that was literally the seed of the idea. I wrote that down, so as if it's hard to forget such a simple concept, but I wrote that down and let it kind of fester in my head for a few years. And eventually, I developed Shean and Akisa from that initial idea. I always knew I wanted to have one doll maker who makes really beautiful dolls and one that makes really scary dolls, like creepy dolls.
Oh,
So that was like the very base, simple idea that I had for it.
and for your future works, do you plan on keeping the female protagonist, or do you maybe plan on switching to a male main protagonist?
It depends on the book. Out of the, so I've written four other books set in the same world as Dollmakers, and out of those, three of them have guy main characters, male, and then two of them are female. Yeah, I think that's right. So it really just depends on the story. Um, I usually know it's one of the first things I know if the main character is going to be a man or a woman, usually. Sometimes that changes, but it's one of the things that I'm just like, yeah, that's who they are.
All right. Um, well, thank you so much. I appreciate talking to you, and I would love to interview you again someday when you write a new book. And
Mhm.
it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.